Welcome to an Iboga Wellness Center talk with Holly Stein. Holly's a past guest that's been here at Iboga Wellness and wrote a book on her experience and how she got here called Healing with Iboga. And it's been several years since she's had her initial Iboga treatment or her initial Iboga experiences. And a lot of people ask us, how does Iboga change a person long term? Do the lessons and does the experience stick with you? And how does life change? Obviously, we come to Iboga for a reason, and usually it's because we want to change something about our life. So we have 2 copies of Holly's book here at Iboga Wellness. A lot of guests read them. It's a short read that they can get through in one day. And definitely a lot of people can relate to Holly's story. I would say at least half of people coming to Iboga Wellness are dealing with some sort of depression or anxiety, which is pretty common in the West. So a lot of people can really relate to Holly and her story. So today she's going to share her story with us. And how long has it been since you've been here, Holly?
It's been 4.5 years. I have the date in my calendar of when I arrived, and my husband and I still celebrate it every year. So
awesome. What was the date?
January 13th, 2015.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And thank you for coming on to share with people who are interested in Iboga.
Yeah, thank you. I love every time I get an opportunity to talk about it. Yeah, I know. That's so cool.
Yeah. So tell us how you came to Iboga and what was really the catalyst for looking for a tool.
I have had anxiety and depression since I was about 18. I think I first kind of started feeling depressed. It was my freshman year of college, and then my high school boyfriend broke up with me, and I went to the health center, and she was like, "Oh, you're depressed. I think you should take some antidepressants." And now looking back, it was like, well, of course I should have been sad. I should have processed those emotions. And I feel like I got on the SSRIs right away, and that kind of became a roller coaster of on them and then off them. And I kind of always had a lot of just general anxiety of a lot of self pressure and perfectionism and that kind of stuff. But I never really experienced panic attacks until I was, I think 28. So I had kind of on and off anxiety, general anxiety and depression. And then around 26, with the help of my psychiatrist, she was like, yeah, we can wean you off of them. And I never really had much success with them anyway. They always made me feel either kind of numb, or they would work for a little bit, but we always had to keep increasing the dosage. It never felt right, but it didn't really feel like there was any other options. So I kind of knew it just wasn't for me. So then I weaned off, and then I was driving home from Vegas with some girlfriends, and there was a lot of traffic, and everyone was hungover, and it was hot, and I just felt trapped in my car, and we weren't moving, and they were complaining, and I started to feel it was my first kind of panic attack. I just felt stuck, and after that, it kind of really increased and escalated from there. That was July of 2013. And then I got married about 6 months later in November. And even on my wedding day, my dress was tight. I felt trapped in my dress, the whole thing. And it just kind of spiraled out of control from there. And it got just scary because it was elevators, and then it was I didn't go to a friend's wedding because it was on a boat, and airplanes, things that I never thought twice about. It wasn't even things like that I didn't like but could do. It was things that never even crossed my radar. And then at that time, we had kind of transitioned more into natural health, and I knew okay, the SSRIs and Xanax and stuff didn't work for me before. I like, how can I treat this naturally? And I had tried like the 5-HTP and like St. John's wort and GABA and like meditation and tapping and like therapy and all these other things. But it just felt like it was so much bigger than that. And I had been following Aubrey Marcus for a while. And then I stumbled upon like Amber Lyon and a lot of, that whole crowd, and just seeing them talk about, psychedelics. My husband had brought it up and I was like, yeah, maybe. I went from like, absolutely not, that is like insane, to, yeah, okay, though maybe for other people, but that's not for me, to, okay, there's like, I heard about Iboga and I started reading more about it, and it was like, well, there's no other option. Like, it's either this or I don't know. Like, it was a very much of a last resort for me. So I think I had found it, I guess, through Aubrey Marcus, like through one of his articles that he had posted that I think is pretty popular, of his like ayahuasca versus Iboga. And that was kind of what helped me decide what between the two. So yeah, that was pretty much how I found it. And then I started emailing Iboga Wellness Center. I have never been camping, so like going somewhere like out in the jungle, like really remote, did not like resonate with me. And I already had a lot of anxiety, so I wasn't looking to like add on top of that. So the comfort of Iboga Wellness Center, like my own room and like bathrooms and like air conditioning and that kind of stuff, really resonated. So we had emailed for a while, and I was thinking about going in August, and then the timing wasn't right. I was really busy with work, and I kind of put it off. And then I had emailed her about January, and I just like bought the plane ticket and was like, okay, I'm going. Like, there's just, I don't know what else I'm going to do, but I'm going. And that was pretty much how I stumbled upon that. Hello. Oh, I think your sound is off. Oh, I can hear you now.
Sorry about that. There you
No,
are.
it's okay.
I'll edit that. I'll get that one. Yeah, what I was saying that, the Aubrey Marcus interview on the Joe Rogan podcast was probably
yes
to happen to Iboga. That clip, that interview was amazing. And that was, my husband had heard it because he listened to Joe Rogan and showed it to me. Yep, beautiful. Yeah. So Aubrey, whenever he went to Iboga Wellness, to Iboga House, which is our teacher center that no longer exists, Gary, the founder of Iboga Wellness, was there during the time with his son. And if you hear Aubrey on that podcast, he talks about somebody going through a really brutal withdrawal, and that was actually Gary Cook's son, Jeff, who's also an Iboga provider.
Wow. I did not know that.
Who actually worked with Holly. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I love, that's so cool. They got to like,
when Jeff was here.
He was in one of my sessions and took us, he was there the whole week. It was really cool.
Yeah. And, you mentioned not camping. That's what we suggest for most people to experience the medicine, is coming somewhere like Iboga Wellness or another, place in nature, but having a bed, a hot shower, a toilet. So a lot of people ask, should I just go to Gabon? And for some people that's totally fine, but a lot of times there's just so much more happening in Gabon, and just not having some of the necessities, you can kind of leave some things behind not leave things behind, but be preoccupied with other things that you're used to, and just not go into yourself. But
one step at a time.
people definitely coming here. Yeah. So, you mentioned you were taking some medications before.
Yes.
Did you had to stop those before coming here?
Yes. And I had actually stopped those a few years prior, completely unrelated, before I'd ever found out about Iboga. And I thought,
Okay.
I'm in a great place. I can do this. I'm fine. And my psychiatrist was like, yeah, great. And we kind of like weaned it down. So I was off of them for probably about 2-ish years before.
Okay.
Yeah. So I wasn't in a situation where I had to wean off just to be able to come. So I don't know how that experience would have been like, but I feel like after I weaned off, I was fine for a little bit. And then the symptoms came back, which was kind of like the roller coaster of always what happened.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. A lot of people have just recently stopped, their medication, so to say, before getting here. And if you're on it for a while, it can be a difficult thing. But once they've been called to Iboga, somehow the medicine carries them through. Once they've made that decision to actually getting here, and they know there's some light at the end of the tunnel. And,
totally.
So we definitely get a lot of that. A lot of people coming in for that. And so, did you plan on writing a book before you came to Iboga Wellness, or through the experience? I didn't know, were you a writer before, or how'd that work?
No, like I've never been a writer. It was like such a profound experience, and I totally get this from my dad, but like I'm one of those people, like when I find something like really cool, I'm like, hey, you guys, like check this out. You have to like, I don't know, do this, or like, I just check this out, how cool this is. And like when we first started like eating organic and grass fed, I'm like, hey guys, did you know this and this and this and this? So it was like this most profound like experience, and I had shared it on my Facebook because I knew, like, no one talks about it really, but I know I'm not the only one with anxiety. Like I know a lot of people I think it's like 1 in 5 people in the US like are on some sort of like mental like stabilizing drug. And I'm like, okay, a lot of people are experiencing this. So I posted it on my Facebook like one day, just like, hey, this is a really long personal story. This is what I went through. And I went to this place called the Iboga Wellness Center and whatever. And I like the amount of messages that I got, like just of like support, and then the private messages that I got from people being like, oh my gosh, I have anxiety too. And it was like insane. So I started like writing a lot, blogging a lot more about it. I haven't been that consistent lately because I guess life, but it was a few years before I actually like wrote, like my husband wrote the book, or I wrote the book. My husband helped me with it because he's written a few like online like books about like, health and wellness and stuff. So he kind of knew like the steps to take of like getting it self-published and putting it on Amazon. And like he helped me like he like proofread it for me and kind of helped me like how to organize the chapters and that kind of stuff. So like I just would like write all the stuff out, and he's like, okay, well, I think you should like, move it like this. And so I think if he hadn't helped me with it, it probably would never exist.
Okay, cool. I didn't realize your husband was an author.
Yeah, like it's just a self-published, like he really enjoys writing. It's not his day job, but he loves it.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, him helping you through that has sure helped a lot of people. I recommend your book to a lot of people just because your story deals with, like you said, so many people out there deal with anxiety and depression and just can't, are just looking for the way forward, and, what has been, what they've been told, for most of them doesn't work. And if it does work for a little bit, it's probably not going to work long term, especially as far as medications go. It just starts really changing your personality. So, yeah, that's just really powerful what you've gone through.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like you said, just working for a little bit. When I got home, I called my psychiatrist's office, and I hadn't been there in a few years. And I was talking to the receptionist, and like I knew her, and I wanted to like set up like an appointment with my psychiatrist. And I'm like, clearly she doesn't know about this. Like, why? How does she not? Like, she needs to know that this exists. And I was kind of telling the receptionist a little bit about it. So she's like, "You went to Costa Rica?" So she's like, well, I mean, how do you? Like, what do you do when you need more? Like, how do you get more to take? Like, do you do? I'm like, you don't. Like, it's not like a daily thing that you have to take. Like, it's it's not like that.
Exactly. It's an actual healing tool rather than a substance program.
Right.
Where you keep going, and most people, if they do come here, more people come back now, but I would say 85-90% of people never come back to Iboga Wellness or do Iboga again, just because they take with them what they got from the experience, the lessons from the medicine, and the path forward and what they need to do. And it's not something you have to keep doing. Some people enjoy digging deeper or connecting with the medicine more, and they're able to, they just want to celebrate that, all the gifts that keep coming, because it will keep showing you more about yourself. But most
100%.
Move on, live their life.
Yeah, I know. It's funny because I always say there's half of me that is like, I never want to come back and do it again. But if I was all of a sudden found myself in a situation where I needed to do it, I would start, like, if like all of a sudden my husband died in a car crash suddenly or something, like I would for sure be back there and I would do it because I needed to do it. And there's part of me that's like, I really want to go do it again because like the journey is never over. Like, it's not like, oh, I did it that one time and now I'm good in life. Like, there's you're never done learning and like working towards like enlightening yourself. So like, I can learn so much more, but I'm like, oh, it was so hard.
Yeah, it does. One thing I will say, once you've been through those first couple, it does get easier.
Okay, all right.
You get you get things cleared out that the medicine doesn't have to work through again, and so
that's true.
It's more of an open channel in there. But you've probably got a lifetime of wisdom from what you did, and that's really what it's like for people. It's just connecting on such a deep level that really for most people there was no way they could have connected with themselves in any other way besides this medicine. And it just stays with you forever. I can honestly say that 100% of people that come here for themselves realize gains in their life that they take with them and continue to use. So
it's kind of like once you it's like once you learn something, like you can't unlearn it, or you're like, once you see something, you can't unsee it. Like, there was definitely lessons that I got that I just can't unknow now. I can't just not have those sights, like those insights that I got.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's just priceless stuff right there. Just
totally
something that stays with you so long that is good for you. The medicine just really wants to teach us how to live life. That's really what the Bwiti and this medicine is about. It's about living life and being fulfilled and being happy and enjoying it. And so how did you go through the process of choosing Iboga Wellness? Did you consider any other spots, or how did that happen?
The thing that made me, I did look at Iboga House, and I really connected with Jeannie, who was there at the time. I never, those were the only two spots that I looked at, but I felt so, like, I had sent a lot of emails. Like, it was my first time out of the country. I was coming alone. Like, my husband was like, do you want me to come with you? And I was like, I don't want you to come with me. Like, I feel like I've gotten to this place where you have I feel like have done so much for me now. Like, I feel like you're just like holding me up. Like, I need to go do this by myself to like prove to myself that I can stand on my own 2 feet again, because I feel like I've like lost that self. So going alone was kind of like part of the experience. So kind of going alone out of the country for the first time, like taking this, like, is it some weird Kool-Aid? Like, I don't know. So just like being able to like talk to her like on the phone, and like she would respond to my emails all the time. Like, I just felt super comfortable. And then like the house was like beautiful and amazing. And like I said, I wasn't ready to like dive in to like the jungle yet. So just the whole experience, like I just had like this gut feeling, but the communication was fantastic, and it felt like really like organized, and it was run like a professional setting, and not like, you know, you're going to get some weird, like not pure substance mixed with something else to save money. Like it felt legit from like everything from like my first contact with Jeannie all the way like through the end.
Beautiful. Yeah. You know, so Gary started it, and you can't get as much more legit than that guy. He's loving, wants to be straight up, and just really cares for people and using this medicine and what it can do. Yeah, and Jeannie's awesome. We wish you all the best, Jeannie, if you ever hear this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one thing we kind of we remind people here at Iboga Wellness is, you know, it's the experience itself can be very interesting, but however it goes down, it's going to be what you need. So, you know, when we look into this medicine, of course, we look at different information. Typically that comes from other people. So when we come in contact with people now, we try and encourage them not to try and, you know, go too deep in what the actual experience will be, but rather, you know, what they want from the experience. What do they want for their life? So could you talk about, you know, what you expected it to be compared to what actually happened during your journey?
I know, and it's so funny because they like literally the first like, you know, we're sitting around the fire about to take it for the first time, and they're like, do not have expectations. It's going to give you what you need, not what you want. I was like, yeah, cool, no expectations. And then I felt like I was really going into it with no expectations. And then after I took it and went upstairs and was laying on the mattress, the first vision I got, it kind of took me, like Iboga, like pulled me into this room, and it had like all these filing cabinets, and it had every negative, anxious, depressive, horrible experience of my whole life, all organized like in the filing cabinets, like, you know, in chronological order. And I was like, oh my God, this is my brain for sure. And so I like, it was like so obvious, and I didn't know it at the time, but I had set the expectation, like my whole journey tonight is going to be purging these filing cabinets and like cleaning them out and like throwing stuff away. But I didn't know that. And so all of a sudden, like, it took all of those memories and kind of put them into little glass cubes and sent it on like this like rocket ship. And I thought, okay, the rocket ship, like, we're taking off. But then the rocket ship just left, and I kept trying to go back. I'm like, how do I get back to that room? Like, I need to go back to the filing cabinets. Like, I need to like keep doing this. And that's not what was happening. And I felt like it didn't feel like when you're drinking and you feel like you're not coherent. Like, I felt like so coherent. I didn't feel like I was like I felt like I was altered, but at the same time, mentally, I felt so sharp that I felt like, well, nothing's happening. I'm just sitting here. And, I really thought it wasn't working. And I signaled, Brad, one of the providers that was there. And I was like, I don't think I got enough, because they gave me the initial dose and then one pill. And then I saw them, like, I heard them giving, you know, multiple more pills to other people. And I was like, but I didn't get any more. And like, I didn't get enough. Like, it's not working. And he's like, just trust the process. Like, you're having expectations. You have to let that go. And I was like, all right, whatever. And then I had this like really horrible, like negative, like tirade of like talking to myself, but I got to see it. I got to witness it from like a third person perspective of like somebody else was talking to me and it was like, I can't believe you came all the way here. You're not even getting anything out of this. Like you spent like pretty much all your savings to come and now you're gonna have to go home and tell Eric that you got nothing out of it and this is like your last resort. What are you doing? You're such a loser. Like all these things. And so I went through that and I was like, oh, like that was really obnoxious and really rude. Like that's not gonna help right now. So let's just shelve that conversation and try to be positive. And I'm going to like try to get back to the room and like just see if I can make anything positive happen. And then I ended up falling asleep. And then at 6 a.m., like they came in they woke us all up and they're like, okay, if you want to go back to your room whenever you're ready. And people were going back to their room. And I was just sitting there. I was like, nothing happened. Like I didn't get anything out of it. I don't know what to do. And they reminded me like, you know, like a lot's going to happen today, like as you reflect on it. And it was so funny. By the end of the day, I was just like laughing at myself, thinking that I got nothing out of it when it was like the most profound experience of my life, like as all the pieces started to get put together. But I was then able to see like the rest of the day that Iboga was like needing to show me how my mind worked. And it taught me that was my inner monologue, like 24/7, but I was so in it that I didn't even know it. And like still to this day, like, I'm not perfect and I'll still kind of like have like inner critic thoughts sometimes, but it's weird because when I do it now, it's like, I'm so conscious of it. Like I recognize it right away. Like and sometimes if I'm like kind of in a bad mood and then like just feeling kind of down, I don't always correct myself and say, oh no, like but like it never goes unnoticed ever, like ever anymore. So whenever I do it, which is very rare, I'm always aware of it. And it was from like that moment that I didn't even know that it was happening, which was like the crazy part.
Amazing.
So yeah.
Yes. So many people, just the expectations, what they read, what they watch, you know, they start thinking their journey is going to be the same as somebody else's, and it never is. But one thing we see a lot is people, you know, whatever people are working on tends to get amplified. And that's, you know, sounds like that's what happened with you. You know, just being
100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and even like it's like I went into it thinking I don't have expectations right now, and I still did it.
Yeah, it's
like I was like,
to.
Yeah, it's like I didn't even know that I was doing it when I was doing it. But then you know, like I really like underestimated the power of like the reflection day, the day after. So like really, I think like really, and it was really hard for me to not not watching like any sort of like TV or like using your phone, or like really just like sitting and being super alone in your thoughts with like all these like I think all the pieces start to come together and everything you experienced overnight like now all starts to make sense. And like it was so hard. I had such a hard time being alone. Like I would sit in my room for a while and then be like really like just so alone in my thoughts, and then I would walk over to the separated house that like Gary and like Sandy lived in, and I would like, you know, Sandy was just there like living, but I was like, Sandy, I need to talk to you. Like I can't be by myself. This is so hard. And like she just like let me hang out like in her like own personal like house, and I would like go back for a little bit and I'd be like, I can't take it. And they would just like talk to me like as much as I needed.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that second day, most of the time is more important than the first day.
Yeah, that's when it all made sense for me.
Hey, give me a second. My wife and baby came in here. Just a sec. Okay. Yeah, we definitely, definitely remind people, and what we see is that second day, that what we call Discovery Day now.
Oh, I like that.
Many times much more important than the journey itself. Things start slowing down and coming together, and whatever whatever the medicine's really going through you, sometimes it can be a little difficult to quite put together what's actually happening. But as things slow down and the mind quiets down, your senses are heightened, so you're very present. Things start coming together and making sense. And so you had that first one, and you then then of course here.
Oh, you're breaking up. Wait. Oh, I can't. You're breaking up right now.
Now that you had moved some things out of the way.
Wait, yeah, can you say that? You were breaking up. Can you say that again?
Oh, yeah. I said, now that you had that first journey out of the way, how did you went into the second one, and how did that experience compare to the first?
Yeah, so after the first one, I was like on cloud 9. We went to, I forget the name of the place, but where you go ziplining. Like, I went ziplining like the day after that, and I couldn't even like get myself on a plane barely to get there. Like, I couldn't do anything, and all of a sudden I was like ziplining. So I was like the queen of like the universe. So I was so excited for the second one. And then that night, it was like the night before the second journey, and I came home from ziplining, was like ready for like a good night's sleep, and then there was a ceremony going on, and there was somebody like having like a lot of physical purging, and the like throw up is like something that was really anxiety inducing for me at the time, and even still I work on that, and I realized that it's a story that I tell myself, like, oh, I have a fear of throw up. And like, interesting, because the first time my son threw up, like not like breast milk, but like actual like food, when it was actually happening in the moment, I was like not fazed by it at all. I was like more so concerned about him. And then once it kind of like calmed down, like I started just like, once my brain had a chance to start like working, I started feeling like really anxious about it. Like, oh, is he going to do it again? Like, is it over? And it was like, once I allowed myself to like think and tell myself that story. So I actually have stopped saying that, because I'm like, it's interesting how much I make that real by continuing to say that. So I'm no longer telling myself that story anymore. But back in that time, like, it was like hearing somebody throw up, I was like really feeling anxious about that. So then going into the next day, I was like feeling really nervous, like, oh my God, because I didn't throw up the first session, and nobody in my group did either. One girl did like one time, but it was like not anything like, major. So then I started to get like really superstitious, and like I did the exact same like meditation and the same like face mask and the same shower and the same clothes and everything the same, because I was trying to like control it to be like the same that was the first session. And then like I even like went and like put my stuff, like my journal and stuff, like by my water, like by the bed that I wanted, because I want to make sure I got the same bed mattress as last time, like things that it's like kind of funny. It's like, oh, you're superstitious. And like, okay, superstitious is really just another word for anxiety, because if you didn't feel the need to control it, then,
yes.
So I went into that second one feeling just like a little bit more just nervous, and then once we got going, I took it, that kind of all subsided, and I didn't throw up, and nobody in the group threw up that night, which is interesting, because I know that I didn't throw up now, because Iboga was like, you always say you have such a weak stomach, but I need you to know that you don't have a weak stomach. Stop saying that. Like, you just took Iboga twice and you didn't throw up. So, like, see that. So that was like a cool, like, because I'm always like, oh, I have a weak stomach, but I now know that I do not. But going into that, going into the second one, for having such positive results and getting so much out of that first one, I was very excited at that. Once I was laying on the mattress, like, okay, like, what's gonna happen now? Like, I got so much, like, what else could I possibly get? And that one, I was pretty, I was really nauseous that second one. And I even went to the bathroom and tried to throw up, and Iboga's like, no, you're fine. Like, stop with that. But I just laid there, and I got to see a lot of, like, where it, like, stemmed from, and it really set me up for going home, because it was like, you're on this, like, amazing, like, Iboga high right now of, like, you solved all this stuff, but you're going to go home and nothing is going to be different. Everyone, they have all their issues and work and all that stuff. Like, you're not going home to like this amazing Costa Rica Iboga Wellness Center house and lifestyle. This is not life. Like, you're going to go back home to real life, and you're going to be the only one that's changed. So here's the deal. Like, it kind of gave me this vision of, like, my brain is a garden, and all of these, like, negative thoughts and, like, all these, like, had become, like, these horrible weeds that were just unable to be tamed with, like, the therapy and, like, the tapping and the, 5-HTP and, like, natural supplements. And it showed Iboga as, like, this power tool that, like, came through and, like, uprooted everything. And it was like, great, this is your new garden. This is your brain. You're going to go home. It's up to you. Like, you can plant flowers or you can plant weeds, and weeds are a part of life. They come up. And if you don't maintain your garden and pull the weeds as they come up, you could end up back in this exact same place. Like, Iboga was this tool to help you, like, make that shift, but it's not like this magic pill that you take it, you just came and did it, and now you don't have to put the work in life anymore. And so it kind of, like, showed me all of that. And now I have, like, that analogy. And even now, like, I have a garden now, and, like, when I weed now, like, I still, like, yeah, like, I look at it, like, spiritually too. And, like, I'm physically weeding. I'm like, yeah, like, it's so much easier if I just pull the weeds as they come versus, like, letting it get taken over by the weeds. And so I spent a lot of time, like, thinking about, like, okay, what are my weeds, and, like, being aware of them. And then how can I, like, what are my flowers that I can plant, and, like, making sure to be on top of it, and not being like, well, I'm in a good place right now, so I can just get lazy. So, and obviously, like, life happens, and I don't beat myself up of, like, oh man, like, I haven't meditated for, like, a few weeks. Like, I kind of, like, fell out of that, but it's just, like, trying to, like, get back on it. Like, oh, I haven't been to yoga, or, like, things like that, but just staying diligent about the self-care, which really helped so now I have a son who's 2.5. So I got pregnant, like, just about a year after my Iboga experience. And yeah, so something that I think Iboga really helped me with was, I've never felt guilty about self-care or putting myself first throughout pregnancy or, like, as a mom, because I know that if I don't take care of myself, then I'm going to end up in a place where I can't take care of him or anybody else. So I know, like, mom guilt is, like, a thing that a lot of people, I know, at least in the US, experience of, like, feeling like they shouldn't be taking time for themselves, but kind of getting that brain garden metaphor. I've, like, never felt guilty about anything in regards to, like, putting myself first.
Absolutely. It's one of the biggest lessons. Yeah, that's one of the biggest lessons that Iboga can give us, is that we have to come first, even for the people we love. We need to be the person that we love most. Otherwise, if we want to help our family, our son, or our kids, we have to be good ourselves so that we can then spread that spread that love and that goodness around. So
yeah,
that's a huge one.
It is, and I've had a few like mom friends ask me like how, because I just don't feel guilty about anything. Like even obviously have made mistakes, and I'm going to continue to make mistakes because I'm not perfect. And like God, even like when he was 6 months old, he was crawling, and like we had these stairs that were carpeted, and it was like halfway down the stairs, and then it kind of curved around with the other halfway down, and I turned my head for a second, and he fell down the first time. He rolled down the stairs. And I like panicked for a second, but when he was fine, I was like, I just like didn't feel guilty. And people were like, how do you not have mom guilt? And I was like, well, I know I'm doing the best that I can, and that's all I can do. Like, obviously I would never intentionally let him roll down the stairs. I'm like, well, how did you get that? And like, I don't know, like Iboga just gave that to me. Like, I just don't feel guilty. Yep. Like, I wish I could tell you how I did that, but like, it was like a badge I earned. Like, I don't know. I just got that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Some things come to us in Iboga and it's very clear, whether that's through an intuition or a vision or however it may come. But a lot of times, and especially for myself, I was just downloaded with the information and it was put into me, and I just knew those things as the truth now. And I knew that's how I had to be with myself, my own relationship. So that's beautiful. That's such a big thing. We're almost prided in the West on beating ourselves up and never being good enough. And like you said, if we do everything we can do, if we're making the right decisions and putting in the work that we need to do to live our life and get what we want out of life, like that's really it. So yeah, that's a huge lesson. I'm glad you mentioned that, of just receiving that gift from the medicine. It's huge. Yeah,
I know. And I'm also a huge believer in karma too. So that also kind of helps me, like, okay, well, that was maybe, I guess, just their karma. I guess like that was meant to happen. Like, I just, I don't know.
Yeah, no, the life keeps challenging us. And then, from the medicine's going to really give us the truth on things and allow us to connect inside and know, is that the right thing for me?
Yeah.
And so that's one that stays with us forever. It's beautiful. And so long term, how do you feel Iboga has changed your life for the better?
Oh my gosh, I feel like it was like the catalyst that like gave me life. I mean, there's my husband and I joke, like, from like Iboga to really, so that was January 2015 to November of 2016 when my son was born. So like almost 2 years. Like, my life was perfect. Like, I didn't worry about anything. Like, I just feel like everything that came at me, I was like, that was the universe. It was just meant to happen. And like, oh, well, good thing I hit that red light. I could have gotten in a car accident above. And oh, that's a reflection of them, and that has something to do with me. Like, it was like, we kind of joke about how my life was so easy. And then like a few months after my son was born, I kind of started to feel a little bit of postpartum anxiety because I was not sleeping. And I like was totally off like my like exercise, my yoga, and like meditating and stuff. Like, I was kind of just like in survival mode with the newborn. And I went through these doubts where I was like, oh my gosh. And I didn't have any anxiety surrounding like baby stuff. It was like all like my old anxieties. Like, we were going to the pediatrician one time, and like the elevator was kind of old and janky. I kind of like felt weird in the elevator, and I was like, uh-oh. And I went through a phase where I was very nervous and very like, oh my gosh, is it all like coming back? And, I was able to like really focus and like, get through it. But the things that there's obviously like some things I still have to like work on in life and maintain with my like, little garden. But the things that are just like, never go away, or is one of the biggest lessons that I got was, it told me, it was like, all you need is within you. Like, you are have been for years trying to search externally for all these things to help fix you. Like you were reaching for this and trying this and trying this. And like and then even like you come to Iboga, like you're searching for this external thing to fix you. But what you need to know is that everything you need, like you have it within you. And that is like a lesson that like clicked so like it's like a permanently like it's just there now. So I kind of went through that phase of like, oh my gosh, like is it happening again? Like is it coming back? What's going to happen? And then like it's easy for me to like reference that like, okay, all I need is within me. Like I have all the tools. I have the ability to get back to myself. Like that's it. So it's definitely given me like a more positive outlook. Like I'm able to like look more on the bright side of things, which is like such a, silly cliche, but I'm able to just like trust the spirit and the universe now. And sometimes I'll go through phases and I've kind of realized, when I'm, going through challenges and I want my husband to know that I'm going through a challenge and I need help, that's when I start to say like the negative things like, well, of course this would happen to me and why is this happening and I'm being punished and blah, blah, blah and all that stuff. And like, as I would say those things to him, I always kind of like was like, dude, what am I saying? Like, I don't believe in this. I know this is like a negative way of speaking. I know it's not helping, but I finally one day came to the epiphany that that's how I talk when I need his help. And now I realized, okay, I can just ask for his help instead of like going down that road. But yeah, really like the pause, more of like the trusting the universe and like the all I need is within me. Like those are just things that are just will now forever be a part of my life. Like just without having to make any sort of effort. And then the other stuff is, I still have to, it's like if you're like an alcoholic or a drug addict, you don't go home, you don't go to rehab and then go back to your same environment. Like you don't want to hang out with those same people. Like you want to kind of like have a fresh start and make good choices. So I feel like I'm kind of just, a lot of it is just also making the good choices too.
Beautiful. Thank you. No, that's a really big point. One of the things that one of the biggest gifts Iboga gives us is just understanding our own mind and really realizing that our mind is our mind. It's a tool, but understanding that the mind's going to creep up all the time through our lives and start trying to go back to old habits. And, a lot of times that's just because what it's done a lot of it, you've grown that muscle over time, but being able to connect inside with what is the truth for yourself, with your own spirit and saying, hey, what I need is already inside of me. Let's not cloud it up with a mind getting in the way, and really being able to separate those two and having that separation of just knowing, hey, there's my mind there, telling myself the old story that I used to tell myself, and being able to catch that and just make a decision not to take it in anymore is a huge part of this process working with Iboga. Really
and I would say Iboga really played a huge role in my life, and we talked a little bit about this before we started recording, was like the birth, and like your wife had a midwife and like I had a midwife too, and it's not very popular, especially like in America, to have like natural births, and it's very uncommon. And people were like, how did you do that with like no pain medications or anything like that? And I was like, well, it's not like a matter of like pain tolerance, like, because it's going to be painful like regardless, but like all I needed was within me. Like I had learned that so like deep, like within my cells, that like I just knew that I could do it. And it was like a mind over matter. Like I knew I could do it and I was just going to do it. And that was it. And it was challenging. We're talking, about like how after I had like an immediacy, like after having the baby, I was like, okay, what would I do again? Like birth or a week at Iboga Wellness Center. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I think I might even pick birth again, because that week, while it was like, you know, I feel like they were both so equally rewarding. They were both so challenging, where I'm like, that week was so hard, but I would do it like a million times over again, because I got so much like life out of it. Like, I don't even want to think of like where it would be had I not been able to come for that whole week. Yeah, like it just turned my whole life around.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's, we really encourage people to be patient throughout the process, and even people going home. I would say by the final full day, we have a fun day where we go to the beach, have a barbecue now on our final full day. 90% of people are there and realize what they got, but there is some people that have to go back home and get into their old environment to really see how they've changed. Sometimes it's different. It's a very sacred space we create here at the Wellness Center, and with all of us moving in the same direction with the medicine, all working on improving our lives, all the other guests coming together, sometimes it can be a little tough to see that, but then you get back into your environment and realize how you're perceiving things differently, making different decisions for yourself. Your internal dialogue is a lot different.
Yeah.
And, so it is, anybody considering Iboga, be patient with the process. Super important. If you come into this experience for yourself with an open mind, open heart, medicine will give you what it needs. That's just its job. That's what it does. And so to not, it happens with all of us. We all want to look back and kind of give it our stamp of approval of what's happened. But if you can be patient with that.
And trusting the process. And absolutely. So many people come like, I have anxiety. I can't let go and trust the process. Like, I know that was me. But like, you have to just do it. I mean, I could barely get myself there. And because I've told a lot of people this story, like, I could never just like let go and just take that like medicine. I'm like, I don't know, like when you get to the point where you feel like there are no other options, like you will do it. And it's like I was so nervous, but then when I got there, it was like Iboga, like it just like took care of me and was like, okay, like we're going to do this. And I was like amazingly shocked that I was like pretty calm and ready to like have the journey. Cause I thought I was going to be like a mess and not being able to like take it and let go, because I read a lot of like trip reports on just psychedelics in general. And they're like, if you fight the experience, you're going to have a bad trip. If you just accept it and go with it, then it's going to be a positive experience. I'm like, I can't accept and go with anything. Like, that's how am I supposed to do that? But like when the time comes, like it just happens.
Yes. So that rolls into a question that a lot of people have, and I think I'll say with Iboga compared to other medicines out there is people don't really get scared during the experience. There may be some difficult things to look at, but they're not actually scared. What would you say to that? How, with your experience, were you ever scared? Do you ever feel it? I'm sure you were scared going in, but then how did that differ from what actually happened?
Yeah, it was never like, I didn't feel like the walls were melting or things looked, like, when I opened my eyes, everything looked exactly as it should look. Like and my brain didn't feel like I couldn't, like if you asked me to do like, mental math problems, I could easily solve those. Like I felt like I was very like everything was just really heightened. Like I could feel like all like my cells kind of like buzzing in my body, and it certainly felt better to like lay down, like sitting up, like you get kind of dizzy. But as long as I was laying down, like I felt like normal, but like altered, like in my mind at the same time, but just more like heightened. Like I never felt like what you would see like in movies of like weird things happening or elephants flying or like hallucinations or anything like that. Like it was the actual experience of the medicine was not scary. Like except for like there's, some physical discomfort of like, maybe some like nausea, but like I never felt like mentally scared. Like, oh God, what's happening to me? When is this going to be over?
Yep. And I can honestly say I've never seen anybody scared during the experience either. So that's a really big question that a lot of people have. So that's, it's good to hear it from you. A lot of people hear it from me, but they're like, okay,
Of course, you're trying to sell us on this place. Yeah, I'm kidding.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, things will come up for you, but it's never, Iboga is a very present medicine. You always know where you're at. You always know what's going on.
Right.
There can be visions where, you can follow and see what there is to learn there.
Right.
But you can always come back into yourself.
Yes.
It's really about going deep inside oneself. And so you're always present there. And like you said, your senses are heightened. So things, sound is crisper. A lot of times people's eyes after the experience are clearer. So the senses do get heightened, which is a big part of living. That's why we're given our senses, is we want to be able to use them and be present. And, that's why that's a big part of Iboga's lessons, is to use our senses and just be and allow the mind to take a break.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
And so who do you feel could benefit from an Iboga experience?
I mean, I think everybody could benefit. Like, no matter even if you feel like you don't have any issues in life, like you can always learn more about yourself. So I think, anyone who's open to it and would trust it and is like a willing participant would benefit. But I don't have any personal experience with like the opiates and the drug addictions, but I saw some like amazing like transformations in people when I was there of opiates. So I know that's what Iboga is kind of a little bit more well known for, is the addiction, but really like the anxiety and depression, because I kind of, when I was there, kind of felt like seeing like the addiction. I'm like, well, I almost felt like the anxiety was kind of like a mental addiction to like these negative thoughts. So I think anyone who's needing like a really big like reboot in your brain, I felt like it was like a reset on like my hard drive, and like just that like kind of someone grabbing you by the shoulders and like shaking you and kind of like snapping you out of any like thought patterns, I think could benefit from it. Thank you.
Yeah, Iboga really is here for us all. Like you were saying, anybody that wants to understand themselves more, wants to understand their life, what direction should I go? That's what this medicine is here for, to give us guidance and to know ourselves better and know how to live life. In our tradition, the Bwiti, we use Iboga as a tool to study life itself. And, we learn a lot of things in school and throughout our life, but rarely do we go to a school to learn about our life. And it's nice to see that's happening more. Some kids are being taught mindfulness and just, how to deal with what's going on in their mind, and knowing that it's normal. It's just about having the tools to manage mind, how we think about ourselves, the decisions we make for ourselves, and that's really what Iboga gives us.
Yeah.
And so any notes of wisdom or anything you want to say to anybody that might be listening?
I think I already touched on it a little bit, but really just going into Iboga with an open mind and like trusting the process, and be willing to like put in the work and meet it halfway, and looking at Iboga like as a tool, not as a magic pill that's just going to like fix you. I think that's a big thing. There was a girl that was in my group who on the last day was like really upset. She feels like she felt like she didn't get anything out of it. And I was talking to her significant other like that night, and she was like, yeah, well, she's done this before. She's done peyote and she's done wachuma, and she keeps going into all of these things expecting them to just fix her, and she doesn't want to like kind of like use it as a tool or like, you know, take ownership of, you know, whatever she was, you know, trying to fix. So really being there to like show up and use it as a tool to like help you, like more of like a catalyst to change your life. And like I said, just like trust it and just go with wherever it's going to take you and like let go, which is so hard to do, but once you're in it, it makes more sense.
Bossy, as we say in the Bwiti, for truth to right on.
Yeah, I like that.
That's it. Yep. You have to come for yourself and then do the work. Iboga's not going to do the work for you. It's going to show you what needs to be done, but then it's up to us, and because we're the ones living our life. Iboga's not living our life. So it's a very important lesson of the medicine. Yeah,
man, I'm feeling inspired. It's been a few years. I think I'm ready to come back one of these days.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah,
we'd love to have you again, and yeah, just want to thank you for how much your book and your testimony with Iboga has helped so many people. We have a couple copies here at the center, and even people that are inquiring about possibly coming to a retreat. If I speak with them and see similarities, I definitely say, hey, you should check out Holly's book. And for anybody that wants to check out Holly's book, there'll be a link in the description to an Amazon link to her description if you want to see that. And it's one of the few books on the Iboga experience in a shamanic setting. You know, most material out there is based on, Iboga, and it has to deal with drug addiction, which, you know, there's that there. But
that was a huge motivation too, because there's not a lot of material out there.
Exactly, there isn't, and so it's a beautiful piece to have in the Iboga for self-healing category of books out there, which, like I said, there's not a lot of material out there. So thank you for doing that. And
I'm not a fancy writer. I'm not a fancy writer, so it's a very easy read. Like it's like an hour or so. Like you can like sit down and just get through it pretty quickly. Yeah,
it's almost like Iboga. It's just direct to the point. Here it is. Take it with you and then go do it.
Yeah, I'm not a fluffer. I don't know how to. That was hard for me when I'm like in high school. It's like write a 5-page paper. I'm like, I can say everything I want in like 2 paragraphs. I don't know how to fluff it up.
Exactly. As you work with this medicine, it makes you even more direct like that. Just and also in our own mind, it's like get to the point. Let's do this.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the opportunity to talk about it, because I feel like time goes by, and then it's like I still reference Iboga so much in my life, but I don't like when I got back, I told the story so many times, and like I've told it here and there, but I feel like months or whatever go by, and I haven't like really I don't sit and like reflect and like relive the experience. So it's fun and really beneficial. I feel like that I got to talk to you and like really just kind of like relive it over again. It kind of it brings it more into my forethoughts again.
Beautiful. And so, if anybody has any questions, feel free to leave in the comments or get in touch with Iboga Wellness anytime if you have any questions about Iboga or the experience. And just thank you, Holly. You've really touched a lot of people's lives and made their experience easier going through this process, and just people knowing they're not the only one dealing with these similar things, and
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me.
Just to somebody to come up. Thank you very much. It's
All right.
helped a lot over here.
All right. I'll talk to you soon.
But thank you, Holly.
Thanks. Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.